Hello everybody, my name is Bill and this is SixRounds Studio. This will be the first in a multi-part series where I refinish the gunstock on this Winchester Model 88 lever action rifle. Don't go away. If you are a regular to the channel, you might have noticed that I've been gone for about a month. Well, I actually have not been gone. I've been up in the other shop working on the other channel, which is Rust to Resurrection. I've been spending the last several weeks working on my old Willys Jeeps, trying to get them ready for spring. So we're back and the Jeeps are up and running well. So if you're into Jeeps and vintage automobiles, consider heading over to Rust to Resurrection and you can follow along as I do repairs, restorations, and talk about the automotive lifestyle. Link will be in the description. Like I said in the intro, we're going to strip and refinish this Winchester Model 88 lever action. This was one of Winchester's later attempts to modernize the look and feel of their lever action rifles, and this has a box magazine as opposed to the tube magazine that was typical of the early Winchester lever actions. This gun was first designed in 1955 and it was produced right up until 1973. This is a really nice, this rifle itself, I don't have the whole rifle, just the stock, is in really good condition, and all the owner wanted was to restore the stock, and I'll explain that to you here in a minute. Now at the same time that this rifle was being produced, Winchester also designed a companion rifle, the Model 100. The Model 100 basically looks just like this, except it's a semi-automatic, not a lever action. But if you were to put them side by side, minus the lever, it'd be hard to tell the difference. Before I show you any close-ups of the condition of this, before I start the strip and refinish, I want to talk a little bit about something that I've discovered, or I think I've discovered, about these finishes on these Winchesters from the 60s into the early 70s. I've had in the shop, in the roadies, in the retail shop, repairs for both the lever action and the Model 100 Semi, and the stocks look, like I said, almost identical. And here's a common problem, I think, is that all of these finishes are either on so thin or they're not adhering to the base finish or the base material, so that top layer is peeling away. Now, if you own one of these old Winchesters, and they made them in a couple, they kind of split that production in half. The early ones had regular cut checkering on them, so the checkering looks like it was cut by hand. And the later versions, or the second half of these-ish, were all done with press checkering. So I am really curious, if you're watching this video and you own either an 88 or a Model 100, and if you look at it and if your finish is sort of peeling away, leave a comment, so that'll give me a better sense whether I've seen the only two in the world that are stripping, or if this is a typical problem with these mid-60s to early 70s model Winchester finishes. So the first thing I need to do is I need to prep the stock for stripping, and that's going to involve several steps. So the first step I need to do is to remove all the metal that's attached. Front swivel just screws out. There is a lug on the inside of this that the swivel screws into or threads into, and that lug is nothing more than a nut. So we don't want to get that lost or mixed up. There's also this takedown screw that goes inside this recess, or this escutcheon up in the front. we'll remove this back swivel. And this back one is going to be a wood screw, not a machine screw. And we will put those in a plastic container. I need to remove the butt plate and the grip cap. The grip cap I'm going to leave on temporarily because when I strip this, I do not want to roll over those edges. The same is true for the butt. I don't want to remove the cap because I don't want to roll over the edges of the wood on the butt of the stock. However, I have to get this polished receiver latch lug out of the back of the stock because this is polished and I don't want to have to re-blue this if I can avoid it. So first off, let's go ahead and get that pad off from there. Oh Lord, is that in there tight? Holy smokes. Actually, it's a little rusty, which would explain some of that, I think. I'm not going to leave that off yet. So we're going to put this back on the stock. All right, I need to get the latch lug out. There are 2 holes in the back, and I'm going to choose whichever one of those holes has the screw in it. All right, it is the top hole, and it is a flat blade screwdriver that'll pull it out. So this is not a hex bolt, so my only choice is the screwdriver. Going out easier than I thought it would. No kidding. One screw. All right. I do want to talk about these latch lugs a little bit if I can, because Ruger's 44 carbine semi-automatic, the early ones have the same similar setup, and these Ruger carbines, they're prone for splitting right down along inside of here on that top or behind the receiver or behind the inletting. And oftentimes what will happen is as the gunstock goes through the seasons, it shrinks and it swells, and these screws will begin to loosen up. And if they loosen up, then what happens is when the gun goes off, or the recoil will kind of slam back against the back of the inletting. And if it's loose enough, that constant impact will eventually or potentially split the wood in the back. And again, as I said, it'll split it right down the center of the inletting, down towards the wrist of the gun. So if you have one of these, just occasionally just take that pad off and check to make sure that that screw is snug. All right. So let's put these back on. I do want to be careful because this is 60-year-old plastic-ish, and I want to make sure that I'm not damaging or breaking the plastic pad. I mentioned that the cap, the pistol grip cap, is steel. It's blued steel. It's worn. The finish is worn off. I also mentioned I'm going to leave it on the gun stock so that when I sand the gun stock, I'm not, again, risking rolling that over. So I will use the metal grip cap as a barrier, as a place to stop. And I will have to re-blue that grip cap. All right, we are ready to go. I don't have any intentions of pointing up this checkering. The checkering's in really good shape. There are no dings in it. There's no there's no reason for me to have to take checkering tools and repoint them. These are in good original shape. But I do want to tape them up so that when I sand it, that I'm not risking getting sandpaper into that checkering so that the original finish in the checkering stays intact. So I don't want to scratch that checkering. So we are going to tape these up. This is going to be time consuming, and we'll do it in time lapse, so don't go away, guys. So what I'm using is a flat paddle that has, it's like a butter knife, so it has a fairly narrow profile. So I can get down inside that checkering, put an indentation in the blue tape that gives me something I can follow with the X-Acto knife. I'm not overly concerned about nicking the finish because I'm refinishing the finish. And I just go behind with my fingernail or with the same butter knife tool just to make sure I'm tucked down inside that outer edge of the border of the checkering. All right, one done, 3 more to go. I'll bring you back when we're done.
Some friends. Why did such a thing make you uptight and tense? You're high-strung, babe. You're high-strung, babe. And a high-strung woman makes for a high-strung man. I go out at night for a drink or two. It seems somehow that bothers you. You're high-strung, babe. You're high-strung, babe.